All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Rocky Top Insider postgame show. This is Jack Foster. I am Rick Butler, standing here in Camping World Stadium right after Tennessee's 35-0 win over number 17 Iowa in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Jack, this was a dominating game. This was a blowout game, but maybe most importantly, this was a shutout game. We're going to talk a lot about the quarterback here soon. I know everybody wants us maybe to lead with that, but I want to lead with the defense. The defense played phenomenal. They kept Iowa out of the end zone when their backs were against the wall. They were able to make plays. They were able to make a turnover in the end zone at the beginning of the game. What did you think of the way that Tennessee's defense played in this game, shutting Iowa's offense out?
Yeah, absolutely. Shut them down. And I think there were some doubts about Tennessee's secondary going into this game. And we all know Iowa's so inept on offense. But also, Tennessee's secondary struggled down the stretch. It was kind of, can Iowa muster up some offense against this poor Tennessee secondary? Certainly inexperienced Tennessee secondary today, and that was not the case. They shut down Deacon Hill. He could not do anything with football, had a terrible game. But most importantly, when you talk about Tennessee's defense, it's how they won at the line of scrimmage. Iowa's offensive line is still a pretty good unit. I mean, it's Iowa. That's kind of, they're built to win in the trenches, right? Tennessee dominated in that area. James Pierce, Tyree West had a coming out party. So what it showed is that Tennessee has young dudes on the defensive line that'll be wreaking havoc for years to come.
Yeah, I think that was one of my biggest takeaways too. I was actually surprised with how well Tennessee's defensive players were able to get through Iowa's offensive line and just be able to be disruptive and cause havoc in the backfield. I think it was maybe 5, 6, 7 times I tweeted out, man, Elijah Herring was shot out of a cannon on that play. Tyree West was shot out of a cannon. And I do think that that was sort of the game plan that Tennessee went in with. I think that Tennessee's defense understood that Iowa's offense, they did not have a mobile quarterback. Tennessee's seen a lot of mobile quarterbacks this year. Brady Cook, Jalen Milrow. There's been a
that's
couple
what
more.
They struggle with.
Spencer Rattler, and they did struggle with that. This was a game where they were able to pin their ears back, attack the quarterback, and man, they were able to do so.
Yeah, it's just different. Big Ten versus SEC, right? And Tyree West talked about it post-game. He's like, man, I didn't know if they were serious when they told me he wasn't going to run. He really didn't run. So, yeah, that's just the brand of football Iowa plays, and Tennessee was vastly superior today.
Got to see a lot of young, fresh defensive players on that side of the ball, like Jack alluded to earlier. We will continue to break some of those down over on RockyTopInsider.com as we go on. But let's go ahead and get right to the chase.
Big one, right?
Let's talk about the MVP of the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, Nico Iamaleava. He makes his first start for Tennessee today. I do not have the stats in front of me. I wish I did. Again, we will have those over on the website. You think you got it?
Yeah, I think I pretty much
ballpark
remember.
It?
Yeah, ballpark for sure. 12 of 19 for about 150 yards passing and a touchdown, along with 15 carries, 30 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And there were a couple of hats thrown on the field, metaphorically, for the hat trick that was his rushing touchdowns today. That was huge, I thought. I thought when Tennessee needed a spark, both teams went into the second quarter scoreless, but Tennessee was making their way down the field. Nico Iamaleava able to make an 18-yard run. Then it was so nice, he wanted to do it twice. He goes in with a 3-yard touchdown. Yeah. Then you get to the third quarter. It was so nice, he wanted to do it thrice. Nico Iamaleava goes in for his third touchdown of the day. We didn't get to ask him about it after the game, but it did feel like maybe once he was able to get in the end zone that first time, maybe that was a big boost to the confidence. I really just felt like he was poised in the pocket. He didn't make a lot of freshman mistakes. He didn't panic in a lot of moments. He sat back there. He made some nice plays. And again, maybe one of the more things that I was impressed by, and we saw it a little bit throughout the regular season, but of course you see it more in a 4-quarter game, just his ability to quickly make the decision, okay, I need to escape the pocket. Yes. Tennessee's offensive line struggled today. They were banged up. It was a patched-up offensive line. I think he maybe was sacked 4 or 5 times in the game, but there were nice moments where he was able to use his mobility, get out of the pocket.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. I thought Nico played a really solid game. It wasn't flawless by any stretch. Who would expect it to be? It's his first career start against the third-best defense in the FBS as far as scoring defense is concerned in Iowa. So considering all of that, I thought Nico was great today. And yeah, what he did with his legs was very impressive. The third rushing touchdown, maybe he had Jacob Warren open in the back of the end zone, but the fact he was willing to make that play was, encouraging. And I thought Nico was good all around. And yeah, the offensive line didn't really do him any favors for the most part, and the receivers had some drops. So when they get Chris Brazell in, if they get Brew McCoy back, these playmakers he's going to be playing with next year. I mean, Dylan Sampson and Kim Selden look good today, and a better offensive line. I think the future's really bright next year for Nico in this offense.
You just hit something kind of right there on the head that I was thinking about. I didn't feel like there were a lot of mistakes in the game. Maybe to be, There were a couple missed opportunities, but I don't necessarily say that in a bad way or in a negative way. Those kind of missed opportunities, you learn with experience, right? When this is Nico's first 4-quarter game in a long time, you start to understand those things the more times you're on the field. You talked about it. Maybe he was able to hit Jacob Warren there in the back of the end zone. I remember a play in the first quarter where Squirrel White was screaming down the slot. He was wide open down the field, and maybe that was missed. Maybe he was just running out of the pocket. So maybe a couple of missed opportunities, but again, I don't say that in a negative way. I say that in a, hey, once Nico is able to kind of find those things, he's able to get that rhythm. He knows what to expect from these defenses. I think that Tennessee's going to have a good time with him. Last thing that I want to mention real quick is we saw Tennessee really return to a tempo model today. Iowa's player, I can't recall the name right now, but Iowa's defensive player after the game talked about it. He said it is challenging when you've got to defend a play every 10 to 15 seconds in the game. Tennessee was really able to use that tempo, and I think that's one of the more optimistic things that maybe the fan base, maybe the team is going to take heading into next year, is that you're sure that like they saw with Hendon Hooker when he was successful, that tempo offense that Josh Heupel wants to run, I think it's going to be effective with Nico.
It's just so much smoother, and even when there's negative plays, it doesn't look as bad as, kind of what we've seen this year. With Nico, everything just looks smoother. He's very composed. It just looks like a well-oiled machine, even though not every play is going to be, successful. That's just the nature of football. But a very encouraging day for this Tennessee offense. I mean, look, they scored more on Iowa than any opponent did this season, and Iowa played a team that's playing Alabama in the college football playoff right now. So Tennessee had the best offensive output against this Iowa defense than anybody this year. So I think when you look at it that way, it was a good day.
Absolutely. Jack, any other kind of final takeaways from the game today?
No, not necessarily. Just a shutout win. It's a great way to go into the offseason, and I think what's good about today is the young guys showed out. It wasn't like, okay, these players playing their last game ever as of all had big days. That wasn't really the case. When you talk about James Pierce, you talk about Nico, you talk about the running backs. I mean, Squirrel White, is out there, and everybody's young. So I think that should give Vol fans and Josh Heupel, an easy sleep tonight when thinking about next year.
No doubt about it. We're going to continue our coverage over on RockyTopInsider.com. We have so much coverage right now on social media, so make sure you go and check us out over there at Rocky Top Insider on all social media platforms. Otherwise, make sure you're heading over to RockyTopInsider.com to see coverage from Jack, myself, Ryan Shumpert, of course. We will have you loaded over there as we continue to make our way into the 2024 year. And, of course, Tennessee basketball plays tomorrow as well back in Knoxville. We will have boots on the ground for that game as well. Don't go anywhere because Rocky Top Insider is going to continue to keep you locked in to Tennessee athletics coverage. For Jack Foster, I'm Rick Butler, reporting live from the Citrus Bowl at Camping World Stadium. This has been the Rocky Top Insider postgame show.